I recently had a few people ask me why I do the work that I now do. And I thought that'd be a great topic for this video. You see, for many years, I helped organizations and leaders improve performance, deliver transformations, and reach the next level of excellence. But eventually, I began to see something that no strategy, operating model, or leadership framework could fully address. Some of the most capable leaders I met were succeeding outwardly and quietly fragmenting inwardly. I recognized it because I'd lived it myself. And that is why I now do the work that I now do. People sometimes ask me, why? After a successful career as a corporate executive, I chose to become a leadership depth coach. From the outside, it can look like a major change of direction, but to me, it feels more like a continuation. During my corporate career, I led global transformation and business excellence programs, and I worked with hundreds of leaders who were trying to take their organizations, their teams, and themselves to the next level. Now, these were intelligent, committed, and highly capable people, and I guess I was one of them. We understood how to improve systems. We knew how to set goals, manage performance, solve problems, and deliver results. But I also began to notice that the hardest leadership challenge were rarely caused by a lack of knowledge. Most senior leaders already know a great deal. The deeper challenge is that the person carrying all that knowledge may be exhausted, divided, or operating through patterns they cannot yet see. Most people think a leader reaches a ceiling because they need another technique or a tool or a framework. But often the real issue is that their inner operating system can no longer support the complexity of the new life that they have built. The first reason I do this work is that I know the cost of success without inner alignment. For decades, I achieved, I performed, I led and delivered. And somewhere in the process, I began to fragment myself. I became very good at being the person the role required, the reliable executive, the problem solver, the person who could carry responsibility, remain composed, and keep moving. Those qualities served me. They helped me succeed. But there is a danger when the role becomes so dominant that you can no longer tell where the role ends and where the person begins. You become highly effective at functioning, but less connected to what you really feel, need, and value. You may still receive recognition. You may still produce results. From the outside, nothing appears to have gone wrong. But the external wins become with a strange feeling of hollowness. You achieve something you worked decades for, months, years, and instead of satisfaction, you feel relief. You then move immediately to the next target. This is more common than many leaders admit. Research into people working in high-pressure leadership roles has found that emotional labor, constant self-control, and the need to manage the emotions and the energy of others can gradually drain a leader's vitality. Not simply productivity, not endurance, vitality, which is that feeling of being genuinely alive within your own life. A leader can remain productive long after the feeling has started to disappear. The second reason I do this work is external complexity eventually demands internal development. At one point in my career, something I had explored many years earlier began to return. My interest in psychology, my years of inner searching, and in particular my studies of psychosynthesis. Psychosynthesis starts from a deeply hopeful idea. We are not one fixed single personality. We contain different parts: the achiever, the protector, the critic, the frightened part, the visionary, the part that wants recognition and the quieter part that wants meaning. The problem is not that these parts exist. The problem is that we become unconsciously controlled by them. For example, a leader may believe they are simply committed to excellence, but underneath that commitment may be the part of them that is terrified of disappointing people. So they overwork, they struggle to delegate, they control details, they become impatient when others do not meet their standards. From the outside, it looks like a performance issue. From the inside, it may be an old protective pattern. You cannot solve that pattern with another productivity system. It requires awareness, integration, and conscious choice. Now, discovering psychosynthesis helped me make sense of my own inner world, the different parts of myself no longer had to compete silently for control. I could understand them without being ruled by them. Things began to shift back into place. I started learning how to lead from greater wholeness rather than fragmentation. And I found meaning in the work, not only achievement through the work. Now, the third reason I do this work is that a leader's inner state never remains private. It always enters the room even before they speak. It shapes the decisions they make, the pressures they create, and the behaviors their team learns to copy. A leader who cannot tolerate uncertainty may demand premature answers. A leader who fears appearing weak may punish honesty without realizing it. A leader whose identity depends on being needed may unconsciously prevent other people from growing. But the opposite is also true. A leader who becomes more self-aware gives other people permission to become more self-aware. Research has found that a leader's self-awareness can positively influence the development, confidence, and the leadership emergence of the people around them. That makes sense to me. When a leader becomes less defensive, conversations become more honest. When a leader no longer needs to have every answer, other people begin to contribute more. When a leader can recognize their own pressure patterns, they are less likely to pass those pressures unconsciously down the organization. Inner work is not separate from leadership performance. It changes the quality of the environment the leader creates. This is why I believe integrating the person with the professional creates a more sustainable form of impact. When a leader transforms from the inside out, the effects move beyond the individual. They reach teams, organizations, families, and the communities. Okay, so that was the long answer to the question of why I do this work. So let me try and pull this together. So why do I do this work? I do this work because I know the cost of becoming the role and losing the person. I do it because I see brilliant, successful leaders reaching ceilings that tactics alone cannot break through. They are navigating complexities that overwhelm their current inner capacity. They are achieving a great deal, yet something feels very little. And I do this work because I know transformation is possible. I have experienced it. I have seen leaders become more effective and not pushing themselves harder, but by becoming more integrated, more honest, more conscious, more alive. Leadership depth is not about rejecting ambition or walking away from achievement. On the contrary, it is about ensuring that what you build outwardly is supported by who you are becoming inwardly. Because success should not require you to abandon yourself. The world does not simply need more impressive leaders. They need whole leaders. Leaders whose authority becomes not only from their position, but from their presence. Leaders who can hold complexity without losing contact with themselves. Leaders who are able to achieve without becoming imprisoned by achievement. This is why I do this work. To me, it is sacred work, and I am deeply honored to do it. So before I continue on into the next section, just a reminder, I have several free resources available on my website to support you on your leadership journey. You'll find the link in the description. And if this spoke to something in you, I'd love you to subscribe, because on this channel, we'll explore leadership, identity, inner work, transition, and what it means to live and lead with more depth. And if you are a leader who has just achieved a lot outwardly, but senses something deeper is now asking for attention, I invite you to explore my leadership depth coaching at pietropazzi.com. You can also book a complimentary 30-minute exploratory chat with me. Thank you for joining me on this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next.